my battery went low and I got cut off. So I thought, now my battery is nice and charged. I'm kind of going into a little bit on the concepts again that I mentioned, and that was mainly where I really went deeply into was that we all experience highs and lows in life. And I often say heights and depths. And I also use the tree metaphor for this. So, for example, for example, you have a tree, and it's also a saying of Osho, the deeper the roots, the higher the branches. And what this really means is that we have different aspects to life, and that is very essential sometimes to remind ourselves of this, that we all have highs and lows, and that we all have periods in life where we are lower in energy and we might feel even depressed or anxious. And often when that's happening, we think something went wrong. Or we think we did something wrong, we made a mistake or whatever it is. But actually it's important to know that it's an aspect of life. And over the last couple of years I have a lot of experience working with people with depression and anxiety. And I think it's very important to know I've never met a person in my life who has never been anxious or depressed. And of course, some of us experience it more often for different reasons. And to find those reasons, what is causing the anxiety and causing depression is actually in those roots. And when I mean the roots, I mean going into the feeling. And that is kind of the phase of what I said in the last life, is the phase of introspection. So in some moments of our life, what we actually need is introspection. So what we need, especially when we feel a lot of emotions coming up, we feel really low in energy, these are usually not the moments to push through, to force ourselves to do things we don't want to do. But these are actually the time to get to know ourselves better and why we feel the way we do. And you can do that through journaling, through meditation, going on a walk in nature, whatever that is for you. We're also getting additional support when needed, which is nothing wrong with, because we all have moments in life where we need help. And it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, it just means that you're human and we need connection. So sometimes it's also about talking and sharing and actually helping someone else give you a new perspective. And what I found really beneficial is because the last 2 weeks I was a lot lower in energy and I was like, what is causing this? But I was just going through a deep inner transformation, was actually a really healthy part of my evolution. So certain things were revealed to the surface that were actually first stuck in that depth, and it actually needed to release so I could grow healthier again. Just like a tree, sometimes we need to go down to the roots and to see what is there, and then actually it can help us to grow stronger and feel more resilient and more deeply rooted within ourselves. And what I also find very essential, and that's the other part where I went into, is to action. Because what can also happen, especially people who are really into inner work and doing all these things, we can also get stuck in that depth. So we can kind of, in more shamanic traditions, we call it the underworld, the middle world, and the upper world. So we can kind of get stuck in that underworld because we've been there for a very long period of time. Especially those of us who've experienced more adversity in life, so more traumatic childhood, or you've had a lot of different challenges, you can easily get stuck in that underworld phase because it is more familiar. So even this is why sometimes for certain people it can actually be very scary to go into those branches, to go into those heights, because we're afraid to fall down again. We're afraid to go back in there again. And that when we experience height, the fall can be a lot more painful. So the reason why I really like using the metaphor of the tree when it comes to depression and anxiety, and the process of how we can grow from that in a healthy way, is because the tree really represents life. So in mythology, you often hear amongst different cultures, they talk about the tree of life. And that we as human beings, we all have our unique tree of life. So we all have our depth, the things that we're sometimes afraid to look at, the things we suppress or the things we avoid. And then we also have our stem, which is our stability, the things we do consistently. And that's more basically the mundane things in life that are essential, right? They're essential for us to live and to be strong and to be resilient human beings. But that stem comes from those roots. And we also have the height, we have the branches, which we can see as the best moments of life, our achievements, the beautiful adventures that we have, or successful projects, or whatever it is. And these are the more joyful, the more height aspects of life. But sometimes we can even prevent ourselves from climbing in those branches because we are afraid of the lower moments in life. But what is essential to understand is that no matter what human you run into or who you are, you will experience highs and lows. And that's a part of life. And the more aware you become and the more inner work you do, the more your perspective will expand. And with that perspective, it's a little dog here. With that perspective, also the ability to experience and feel different emotions will expand too. So the more you've kind of peeled away those layers and really became aware of yourself as a tree, as a totality of you, who you are, with all aspects of who you are, you will also maybe experience a deeper depression again. And very often, and very often what then can happen is that we think, oh, we're back to the start, or I was back to where I was. But actually, that is not the truth. You're constantly growing and you're constantly expanding. The same as like a tree is constantly growing and expanding, and we go through different seasons and through different periods in life. So some of us are more sensitive to experience depression. Some of us are more sensitive to experience anxiousness, and some maybe to numbness. So whenever you fall back into a period like that, it's a good time for introspection. But also know when you kind of regain that energy, to allow yourself to act again and to take inspired action. Because actually there are moments in life when we actually need to take action, even though we're afraid, or even though we might feel some deeper feelings and emotions coming up. But it's really about getting to know yourself so deeply that you know in what phase you are and what you need. And that's where really that self-knowledge and that experience comes in. So instead of when you're feeling depressed or anxious, instead of asking what is wrong with me or what have I done wrong, it's more about, okay, to use that introspection to become aware of what is really going on, what is going on beyond the story you're telling yourself. Because it's always good to know that thoughts are really random. The thoughts you think are random. And whenever we think certain thoughts that are really random, certain emotions and sensations are associated to it, and they will arise up. So whenever we're feeling anxious, it's also becoming aware of, okay, what thoughts or what things actually made me feel anxious. And then you can actually find the solution and take action, which is more the masculine, which is more the upper, going and moving our way up into the branches, right? Okay, I found the solution right now. Now I'm going to act on it. For example, when you feel really depressed and you're becoming aware, okay, actually every time I go out in nature and I go for a walk, or when I actually move and go for a run or do my exercise, I actually feel better. That is when we need to take that action. But for example, when we feel so low in energy and we really don't want to even go out of the house, then it's actually a moment to say like, okay, maybe I need to sit with it. Or when we're confused, maybe I need to journal. Or maybe I need to reach out to someone. And it's really the process of awareness is really getting to know yourself and what you need at a certain moment in time. And to know, no matter what is going on within you and in your life, how it looks on the outside or how it feels in the moment, it's temporary. It's temporary. And no feeling state or no situation lasts forever. So it's good to know that when you have those deeper moments, you will come out of it. And if you have had those periods or those episodes before, you can even look back at, like, how did I get out of that previously? And that might work again, because when we know how to get out of that depth, we can just do it over and over again, and we'll become faster and quicker with it. And when it comes to also to that feeling is to know that that we live in a society that looks a lot at the image of how things look like, and that there is this model of how things should be. But actually, when we look at life, it's like the seasons is ever changing, and we all go through different phases, and one is not better than the other. And of course, we all usually enjoy those heights, those happy moments, that joy a lot more. But that doesn't mean it's better, right? And to see that when we do have those moments, that are those happy moments where we have a lot of energy, to use that time wisely and to use our energy wisely so we can get the most out of it, because that's actually the time where we need to build a fundament, where we actually use our energy to projects, relationships, and things that are really important to us. And when you become really aware of your energy levels, you will kind of start to notice now is the time to act. Now is the time to go within. And to know that it's in life, it's about finding your harmony. It's not about perfect balance, like action, rest has to be equal. It's about finding harmony, finding a flow that is good to you. And then you'll get in touch with your unique cycle. And then life will not necessarily become easier, but you will become not necessarily happier, but you will become a more harmonious human being, and you're more in touch with who you are, with life itself. So you feel more attuned and more connected. And often what we seek in life is not necessarily happiness, all those heights, achievements, success, yeah. What we actually are looking for in life is to feel connected. To feel connected to who we are, to feel connected to our environment, and to feel connected to the people around us. So often when we experience a low, what we need is connection. And often when we're in the branches, it's about actually allowing ourselves to experience fully, instead of getting caught up by the fear, oh, what if I lose this? Because it's about then reminding yourself that life is ever changing. And that even the difficult time that we're going through will pass. But that it's actually, instead of waiting till difficulty passes, it's about actually seeing the wisdom, the depth, and the knowledge that is within those darker times. Because it can actually inspire us in the long term, or help us release the things that we don't really need. So, yes, I hope this was helpful for you, and you gained something from it, from what I shared today. And if you enjoy these videos, these live videos that I'm doing right now, let me know in the comments, and I will do them more often. And also, if there are specific topics you want me to go into, or if you have any questions, please let me know. And like I said, sometimes what we need when we're going through difficulty, we need additional support and help. So if you're in need of that, always feel free to just send me a message, or when you have a question, and we can always connect. So I just want to thank you so much for watching and listening to this video, and I just want to wish you a wonderful day, and sending you lots of love. Bye.